Hi there folks, my name's NovaWing24 and welcome once again to Wargame AirLand Battle. For tonight's video, I'm not going to have a bit of gameplay, just going to be a bit of an introduction video because we've had the first piece of DLC become available for Wargame AirLand Battle. So that was released yesterday on the 1st. So just going to have a quick roundup of the new units that have come through and a couple of the changes that have come through as part of the DLC. Now you might be wondering what we'll be looking at for how much the DLC is going to cost, and so what you get in this DLC as we get to the cost is that you get 24 new units, 12 per side, so 12 NATO, 12 Pact. So 24 new units. We're also getting a new game mode, so getting a Conquest is a new game mode, and 5 new multiplayer maps as well, so a bit more variety coming through there. Now, let's face it folks, for most games, well, what would you expect to pay for that DLC? Something like that. So, new units, new maps, new experience, new game mode. What, probably $10, $9.99, something like that. That's probably be about right, given the sort of current status of the fact that games are sort of DLC hungry and make charges money. Sounds about right, doesn't it? Well, folks, the guys at Eugen Systems and at Focus Interactive, you know what? They've done a really awesome deal for us. They've done it for the special price of free. It's free, folks. That is something that is so rare these days, but you know what? It's just amazing. It's really cool. I mean, we've got all this great support that the developers already give us, and furthermore, we're getting a piece of DLC, and not what's more, for the best price you could ever have, which is absolutely nothing. So that's a really fantastic price tag. I think you'd agree. There is, of course, precedent for this from Eugen Systems, because the predecessor to AirLand Battle, Wargame European Escalation, it had a range. Its DLC 5, believe, if I recall correctly, 5 pieces of DLC were also made available to the community for free. Now, the 5 pieces of DLC that came out for European Escalation included new game modes, included a couple of new units, also included a new single player campaign. I think that was the last piece of DLC they released for it. I'm really impressed that the team has continued to do that and continue to support their players and their customers by actually providing them and rewarding them with the free content. So my hat goes off to you, to all the devs and all the marketing guys over at Eugen Systems for continuing that tradition. I'm very grateful, and I think we all are as well. So now that we've sort of extolled their virtues and thanking them for the great price tag for that, let's get started on the unit descriptions. Alright, so we'll start with our packed forces. So, the first one we have is a Polish T-72 command vehicle. So previously the max they had was T-55. So it's nice for them to actually have a decently armoured command vehicle. So there we go. Next we have the Commandosi units. So this is not quite special forces but heavy infantry. So these guys have got decent anti-tank as well as decent anti-infantry and close quarters combat power. Pieteras Concours is the next for the Czechs, so they get a decent ATGM infantry, making these guys even more powerful than they were before, so good addition. Lichterschützen is a light rifleman equivalent for the East Germans, gives them a nice anti-tank capability as well as being able to defend themselves in town, so good infantry, those ones. The 9K33 M3 ROM basically is an OSA, upgraded OSA, so somebody other than the Soviets get access to this. It's going to make the Polish decent in long range AA. T64 BVI, so this is essentially just an upgraded, sorry, it's a downgraded T64 BV, just without the ATGM, so not sure how useful that's going to be. Alright, T72 M1M for the Czechs, basically it's T72 B from the Soviets, being slapped with Czech markings on, so nothing's really changed there. Two new transport helicopters, the Mi-2T for the Polish, just armed with a 7.62mm machine gun, but an early access for them. Excuse me, folks. And the Mi-4T for the Czechs. So these two very light, cheap, basic transports give greater air mobility and flexibility for the Pact Brotherhood forces. Now on to aeroplanes, the part that I love. The 39ZA Albatross. This is an Albatross with teeth. It's got the twin cannon, as well as two AA infrared missiles, in addition to the two 500kg bombs they already had. Potent addition to the Albatross, so making it an even more effective multi-role aircraft. The MiG-29 9-13, so this is a AA killer, I think. Two long-range fire-and-forget radar missiles, along with four anti-helicopter and short-range infrared AA. This thing I think is going to be a must for any Pact Brotherhood deck. Yeah, it's going to be amazing, that aeroplane. And finally, the Su-22M4, also for the East Germans. So this one gives a ATGM ability for the East Germans more than the Su-23. Not sure how well it's going to be used, but it's going to add to even more confusion because I think there's now 6 types of Su-22s now in the game. So, alright, that wraps up Soviet. Let's move on to NATO. Alright, so to start with, we've got the Fallschirmjäger. So these are medium infantry, or sort of light infantry for holding sort of short-range positions for Norwegians, armed with the anti-tank and close-quarter combat weapon. The Fliegerfaust for the West Germans is a infrared guided manpad. Definitely they needed that. Highlanders, essentially the same as the Fallschirmjägers for the Norwegians. It's got the ATGM as well as infantry weapons. Doesn't have the close-quarter combat weapon though, just a static weapon. Canada also receives the Javelin manpad, if I can talk today, so in addition to their blowpipe, so it brings them in line with other Commonwealth forces. The NOAA for the Norwegians, it's an Eyehawk, stats exactly the same, nothing changes, so just simply adding that in. Next up we will then also see the Swedish version of the standard Hawk. So it gives them a long-range guided AA ability, which they didn't really have before. And for those British fans out there like myself, we've seen the return of the radar-guided tracked Rapier, so the Rapier FSA. So this goes back to gives you a longer range on the Rapier. Instead, this now means that everybody has long-range AA. The Wildcat for the Danish, so 25mm autocannon, decent armor. This used to be an APC, now it's just pushed as a vehicle part. The Chimera, now I have a problem with this tank, it's like you have no idea. Armor incredible, everything's incredible. It never existed. It was a conceptual design only. One mock-up was made. So a little bit disappointed there with Eugen Systems. But anyway. Alright, on to the fun part that I love, aeroplanes. So we've got the F-16A Block 15 for the for the Danish. So we've got the radar-guided Sparrow as well as a pair of Sidewinders. So this is essentially just giving them some decent AA because prior to that they didn't have squat. Just a couple of Sidewinder armed aircraft, yeah, just not enough. So good addition to the Danish there. Now the West Germans, what everybody's been waiting for, the F4F Ice. So this is their air-to-air variant. Armed with 4 Sidewinder missiles, just like their starfighters, but with the addition of the AMRAAM. So this thing is going to be amazing. ECM is still quite good, very effective overall, and a lot cheaper than its US counterpart, the F-15C. And finally, we have the AJS-37 Viggen. So this is the air-to-ground variant. This time, instead of armed with missiles, we're armed with cluster bombs, but we've still retained the Sidewinders, which is going to help with as they ingress the target, especially if they come across any helicopters on the way. So a bit more flexible than the ATGM armed AJ-37 Viggen. So that concludes the unit summary of this little video today. So on top of the new units, as I said at the start, there are 5 new maps that have been added. 2 1v1 or 2v2 maps, and 3 3v3 and above maps have been added, along with the new game mode of Conquest. Conquest requiring that you have an occupation points advantage over your opponent in order to gain points, and destruction points do not count towards that victory type. We'll be showing off a few videos coming over the next sort of week or so, showing off some of the new units and the new maps. Alright folks, well that's been my quick summary and roundup of Vox Populi, the latest DLC, latest and first piece of DLC for Wargame AirLand Battle. Hope you've enjoyed this one today folks, and look, take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.